Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/ProRevenge. In today's episode, you want me to run a fundraiser. I tried to tell you I wouldn't be able to, okay, have it your way. Teach you something you don't know? Sure. Sorry, but only the coordinators get to eat these. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. You want me to run a fundraiser. I tried to tell you I wouldn't be able to, okay, have it your way. This is kind of a 2-for-1 malicious compliance story, so it's going to be kinda long. So this happened back in September of 2006 when I was 16 years old. I was a Girl Scout, and our troop leader basically ran the troop like it was a doctoral level university course and made us, girls aged from 12 to 16, run most of the fundraisers to teach us responsibility. Well, in September we were going to be selling steeply discounted magazine subscriptions through the organization as a last-ditch effort to earn money for a trip to London. The troop would be going on in April of 2007. I had no intention of participating in the fundraiser since I knew I wasn't going to be able to sell any magazine subscriptions, nor would I be going on the London trip. However, the leader had other ideas and put me in charge of the fundraiser. Meaning I would be responsible for handing out the packets to the 3 girls who weren't at the meeting, and I would have to tally up all the sales at the end of the fundraiser. I immediately protested the decision by our militant leader and told her, I won't be able to run the fundraiser as I have academic obligations on our meeting night for the entire duration of the fundraiser. The leader sneered at me and said, what academic obligations could you possibly have for the next 5 Friday nights? Me, I'm in my high school's concert band, and weather permitting we're scheduled to play at our school's soccer and/or football games. Each of the performances count as a full test grade, and missing just one performance will dock my grade a full letter. She sneered again and told me, an extracurricular activity like band isn't an academic obligation. Me, but ma'am, for me, concert band is an actual class like math or science, and I get graded for it. And I'm going to be studying music in college, so. Leader, I don't care, you're still going to run the fundraiser. A few of the other girls offered to run the fundraiser instead, but the leader was adamant that I would be the one running the fundraiser, and she snapped, no, she needs to step up and take some responsibility for a change. Even if she's not coming to London with us. So cue malicious compliance number 1. I reluctantly agreed to run the fundraiser, and as luck should have it, the weather was perfect and clear for those next 5 Friday nights. So instead of going to my Girl Scout meetings, I was sitting in the stands of my high school's football field jamming with the rest of the high school band. The night I went back to my Girl Scout meetings was the night I was supposed to turn in all the paperwork for the fundraiser, as it was due the following Monday. And well, I had nothing to turn in, and my leader was furious with me. In front of everyone and a few of the parents, she screamed, thanks to you the fundraiser failed. And I reminded her, when you put me in charge I told you I wasn't going to be able to run it because of school obligations, and you still decided to put me in charge. So I did the responsible thing and put my academics before my extracurricular activities. This fundraiser didn't fail because of me, it failed because of you. After that, she looked like she took a bite out of a lemon, handed me her cell phone and said, call your mother to come pick you up. You're no longer a member of this troop. I'll change your status to Juliet, a Girl Scout who isn't a member of a troop, when I get home tonight. Before I left, she sarcastically sneered, good luck trying to find another troop to join. Cue malicious compliance number 2. After school the following Monday, I called the Girl Scout Council office for my region and asked if there were any cadet/senior troops in county I lived in, and as it turned out there was actually one in my hometown. I requested the leader's contact information and called her as soon as I got off the phone with the council office. I explained my situation to her, and if it would be alright if I joined her troop. She said of course. And gave me the troop number and troop crest. So that later that week I went to the Girl Scout Council store to pick up my new troop's insignia. And that Friday night joined my new troop. But it doesn't end there. Before I left that first meeting, my new leaders asked my mother and I if I wanted to join them for a Girl Scout seminar that was going to be held the next morning at a local hotel. I agreed to go, and the leader added, just so you know, your last troop leader is going to be there. Is that okay? I don't know if you want to see her so soon after what happened. I grinned and said, oh, I definitely want to see her. The aftermath that ensued that sunny but chilly Saturday morning was glorious. Once my troop leaders, the other 2 girls from my troop, and I arrived at the venue. We were led to a room where my former troop leader, her daughter, and another girl from my former troop were in. Turns out they were also participating in the opening flag ceremony. The look on the leader's face when I entered the room wearing the full insignia for another cadet/senior troop just a week after she kicked me out of her troop was priceless. She stiffly said a curt hello while the two girls were like, "We're so glad you were able to join a new troop. And none of us blame you for what happened with the fundraiser." And to top it all off, guess who ended up leading the opening flag ceremony, because she was the highest ranking girl taking part? Yup, yours truly. Teach you something you don't know? Sure. Since my first story was extremely serious, I wanted to share a more light-hearted malicious compliance from my past. This one isn't as long. Going through school, I got involved with a volunteer first aid brigade, though a friend who I will call Jim, yes, the same Jim from my previous story, turns out the bully was a volunteer first aider. As a result, I became one of the youngest medical first responders in the country due to how much work I put in. I was trained to use the AED, shown how IVs worked, not use them, hook up people to oxygen tanks, and other stuff that you wouldn't be taught in a regular first aid course. I was age 14 and helped quite a few people as a result of my training and volunteer work. Can't say that I officially saved any lives though, but I digress. Shortly after getting out of high school, I got a job as a first aid instructor for a short while, though admittedly my age, I believe 17 to 18 at the time, didn't really inspire much confidence in my trainees, as most were much older than me. In many cases, I was assigned to renew people's certificates, rather than actually teaching. In other cases, my class didn't really take me seriously due to my age. I didn't really mind this, as I was passionate about it at the time, having the knowledge that what I am teaching could possibly save people's lives. In this particular class, my clients were a class of high school students who needed their basic first aid for their classes. I don't recall what for, exactly. This is a 5 to 6 hour course that ends with multiple choice test. Easy money. This was at the high school I went to, and surprise of surprises, this was a teacher I didn't particularly enjoy having. Not as bad as Mrs. Grump from my last story, we still got along for the most part, but her way of teaching was awkward. It's a little difficult to describe without being in her class personally. She always acted as though the students knew all the answers, but were too shy to speak. Even if a student said they didn't know, she would say things like it's okay to answer, nobody is judging. And stuff like that. As I was not much older than the students, they weren't listening to me. There was one group of students that kept shouting, "Tell us something we don't know." I know, the basic first aid course, at least at this time, was repeating the same thing over and over again until you're brainwashed to repeat it, but show some respect. Teacher, of course, no help. During the break, the teacher took me aside and told me to teach the students something they didn't know. A lot of the basic first aid is common knowledge and common sense. You're holding back, you know a lot more than what you are teaching. Show the students you know more than them. Okay, sure. I talked to the principal of the school, who I was in good terms with, about what the teacher said and the students, and with his and the master instructor's permission, I added in a little-known module in the handbook to the lesson. When the students come back in, I start to talk. Some of you expressed that you want me to teach you something you don't know. Normally, at this point, I would show you a video about asthma, but as I am sure everyone knows about it, I have gotten special permission to change the lesson. Everyone, please turn to Module 28 in the textbook. The students complied, and a few gasps and chuckles echoed through the room. The teacher doubled over laughing, losing her own composure as well. So, admittedly, I will be teaching this directly from the instructor's handbook, as I have never taught this module personally. We are going to be starting with a video. The class then proceeded to watch a 7-minute video on how to perform emergency childbirth. The video, fortunately, wasn't graphic, but certainly informative. Afterwards, I called the students that had been going teach us something we don't know to come to front and demonstrate the proper technique, using one of the CPR dummy as mother and a head as the baby. Finally, we discussed how to take care of the placenta, and how to administer ongoing care. After the module, the students were extremely attentive, to say the least. Now that I have taught you something you don't know, how about we get through the rest of the lesson without any more interruptions? The class complied, and no one interrupted me the rest of the session. Despite the malicious compliance, I didn't get in any trouble for it, and continued to teach the classes for this school first aid until I let my instructor's certification expire. The next time I went in, the teacher warned the students that I would teach them something they didn't want to know if they interrupted me. And that, dear reader, is the time I taught a class of high schoolers how to perform emergency childbirth. I doubt I would ever get away with doing something like this now, but I will always remember this moment. Sorry, but only the coordinators get to eat these. I used to work as a care coordinator, scheduling nurses and PSWs to private homes. I had hundreds of staff and thousands of clients to schedule daily, and that was just what I had to cover, let alone my other 8 coordinators who worked alongside with me, with their own locations to schedule. We worked together for 8 years, and it always seemed that the nurse managers got special treatment. Although we definitely were doing the brunt of the work, these nurses did not do nurse work but rather, go out once in a while, or just call a client, talk to them, and then write down yes they still need care. Anytime the coordinators had put together money for a pizza day or donut day, our nurse managers insisted that had to be included in getting the free food, even though they never contributed. Our office manager made sure to have us include the nurses whenever we bought food for ourselves. But they never had to share with us. If the nurses decided to order pizza, which the company paid for every time, the coordinators were not allowed any. They started putting the nurses' pizza in a small room locked so we couldn't get to it, but eventually started using our lunch room to keep the pizza there, and just had assigned nurses only. This was happening every month and a bit. So finally at the end of my coordinator career, and basically being fucking fed up with this shithole company, I decided fuck you and started bringing in food for the coordinators, donuts and desserts I'd make myself. I ended up just keeping the food at my desk, and had a sign on it saying only coordinators. The nurses would come over to grab some, and I would tell them, oh, this isn't for you. You're a nurse, not a coordinator. They went to HR and tried to get me in shit, but I had so many documented dates of how the nurses got paid by company lunches, and had the coordinators pay solely for pizza days and whatever where they took food they didn't help with, the HR just let it go. I quit soon after. Thank God. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.